The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Friday in the Riv.
Yep.
And an exciting Friday it is.
Well, it's raining out finally. We're finally getting some rain. So I knew that was going on because the dog wouldn't go near the door. All right, here's our COVID.
It's raining pretty hard.
Yeah, it was. Here's the COVID report for this morning. Total cases in Massachusetts, 106,271. New cases, 143. Total deaths, 8,163. Total new deaths, 11. Bristol County has 8,593 cases. Fall River went up 8 more confirmed cases to 1,680. Luckily, there are no new fatalities. We're still at 111. So there we go. And this may be why we have all the extra testing centers in the city, which I think people need to be very much aware of. We are at a 6.9% positive rate, and they feel that that the city is a hot spot because of that 6.9% rate. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, it is. And as usual, there's all kinds of issues coming out about the statistics and the rates. I saw something yesterday or the day before where they confirmed that their counts are way off. They had one woman who was counted 15 times, and they actually found her name. She was an elderly woman in her 80s, and what they were doing was testing her because she had tested positive, and they retested her and retested her. They were basically retesting her every day, and every time they tested her, they marked her down as a positive case. So there were 15 cases reported, and it was the same person. So, and it's not the only one. There were other people who had been, and they actually admitted, some of these facilities, that they were basically counting them more than once. So this thing is an absolute disaster. From a again, proof positive that when you give the government anything to do, they will screw it up to a fare-thee well, without a doubt. And that's what they've done with this. So none of these statistics are really, nobody knows anything, and we'll see what happens from here.
I can agree with that. It's very interesting to see how this pans out. But this is why Fall River was named a hot spot, and people are asking themselves, why are we a hot spot? Why are we a hot spot? Well, with the positive turnout of 6.9%, they felt that this was the hot spot where it was going to happen. So you have to look at that and say, okay, where are we going from there?
Yeah, and you got to realize Fall River is a community that has tremendous amount of health issues. I mean, we have, I think, one of, if not the highest diabetes rate in the state. So we have a lot of comorbidity and people with those conditions in this city. We have a lot of elderly. We have a very high percentage of elderly people in this city, because as you know from the elderly complexes, we have a high percentage of elderly. So obviously our demographic is far more susceptible than other areas. So that's something you got to take into consideration too. But let's get on to the real stuff, CJ. I heard you became famous. You were called out publicly.
Yes, I was. During last night's city council meeting on ordinance and legislation, Councilor Correia called me out for comments that I made on Fall River Raw. And I think she was just trying to make it clear that she was not a participant in removing anyone from the park board. According to what I was told and then what I heard, because again, what you're told and what you hear are two different things. She received a phone call from another city resident who said that she was watching or she heard on Fall River Raw or she heard from Fall River Raw that Linda was called out for working on taking somebody or working on getting somebody taken off the park board. And that's okay. You know, I mean, I said what I said. I own what I say, and that's it. If she says she didn't do it, then who am I to say she didn't do it? I mean, if I get a recording that says she did, I'm gonna play the recording because I'm not gonna try to look like an idiot either. But you know, out of respect, if she says she didn't do it, then we have to believe she didn't do it.
Well, listen, you didn't. It's not like you were whispering this in a back room to somebody. In a tech, you said it on a public forum, and you said it out in public, as we always do, whether people like it or not. And you know, we get a lot of information, and if it's information and we don't have any corroboration, you don't say it's fact. You can fundamentally you're saying what you heard. And as you said, if somebody says, well, I didn't do that, until you get proof. But then again, there are things that you can't prove that you know are factual. And sometimes we get a lot of that stuff that we know is factual. There are things that go on that we know about, and we know it's fact. But nobody will ever come out and corroborate it because they're all afraid. It's kind of like what we see on a national level. Everybody's afraid to come out against the mob because the mob will come after you like Goya food. By the way, everybody go out and buy Goya because it's an American company that entirely run by Latinos, minorities, that employs 4,000 people, and in their greatest, the mob now. Look, nobody likes spirited debate and disagreement more than I do. I mean, I love to be, in the middle of a really contentious debate because it's good. It gets the blood circulating, makes you think a little bit. But the reality is that it's a debate. It's about issues and ideas and positions, and it should be based on fact. But the thing is that this is what's always had a problem. And this goes back to Sarah Rebello when a mob went down and got her fired from her job because she said something that they did not like. You see, that's to me crossing the line. You want to disagree, you want to argue, and you can do it. But you don't go after people's livelihoods, try to ruin their life because they have a different opinion. That, to me, is what the problem is in the United States right now. If we've done this, and Fall River led the curve on this, because how many years ago did Sarah get fired? Because Sarah's unfiltered. She says what she feels and what she believes. And most of the time, she backs it up pretty well. So the reality is that, I don't have a problem with that, with anybody, even if they disagree. But, don't come after me. Don't come after my family and try to ruin my career. And I actually, they tried that when I was still working. They tried not to come over me because of my activities, union activities and political activities. But this is what disturbs me about this whole scenario we're seeing played out throughout the United States today. Because if you disagree with them, they don't only want to win the argument, they want to ruin your life. They want to basically give you the death penalty, your life, the death penalty, because you have the audacity to have a different opinion. And in spite of the fact that your opinion may actually be the right opinion, and they don't care.
It's interesting. I just found a report on the recent FBI report on the uniform crime reporting. And number 10 is Lawrence. Number 9 is Boston. Number 8 is New Bedford. Number 7 is Chelsea. Number 6 is Worcester. Number 5 is Pittsfield. Number 4 is Brockton. Number 3 is Holyoke. Number 2 is Springfield. And number 1 is, drum roll please, Fall River.
Fall River, number 1 again. We're number 1. We're number 1
in the Commonwealth.
But I
can't believe it. And I'm telling you, this year's numbers are going to be worse.
Oh yeah,
all the shootings going on in Fall River right now.
But this is the whole problem. I mean, I look at what's happening not only in Fall River, which of course, based on our demographic, they're sending all the junkies of the state down here, and we're filling our projects with criminals. And with that, I agree with the mayor, but there's nothing you can do. He said, well, if you want to commit crimes, don't come here to live. They're going to come here to live anyway, because guess what? This is where they're going to give them a free house, a free apartment, because this is what we get, and we're going to suffer for it. But it's the society's out of control because nobody will look at the reality because they're afraid they're going to be attacked. It's like, I don't know if you saw it, CJ. They had a video of an 80-some-year-old woman in a chokehold by a thief trying to steal her pocketbook.
Yes, I saw that story.
Did that make the mainstream liberal left media? No. Then there was also a pregnant woman shot when she was robbed. So none of this stuff you see very much coverage on. And if this has got nothing to do with George Floyd or Black Lives Matter, the country is out of control right now. And these criminals are emboldened by the fact that police are afraid to do anything. They're being defunded. And look at New York City. The people who assaulted police officers, sent a couple of them to the hospital for stitches. No bail. That's New York. De Blasio's New York. Where the country is coming unraveled. This seems like a third world country now. The stuff we see, 50 consecutive days, demonstrations in Portland, violence, destruction of property. Yet, who do they blame? It's the feds. The feds came in. That's the biggest pile of bullshit I've ever heard in my life. These people are running amok. They're running amok, and they're letting them run amok for their own political gain, and shame on them. Just like everything else. That's right. But so there was another issue, I guess, on the local side. I guess there was an opinion that the mayor has the right to do something without the council's action on the park board, and that came from the rather already controversial corporation council.
Right, and I don't know what case he's talking about.
Board of Council. Huh?
I have no idea what case he's talking about. And a city councilor I spoke to that said that the case was quoted to them, said they will get the case for me. I'll pull it up out of Westlaw. The key to this is, number one, the case has to be on point, meaning that the mayor has the right to remove a park board member, not a board member, not a commission member, but a park board member. Very specific. And it has to be a Massachusetts case. So I don't think there's going to be a Massachusetts case that does that. But then again, I haven't looked up the case law on it, but I will, and I will see what I can find. It should make for an interesting read or when I get the case law on it, because this is what the mayor is standing on. He said that because he told me at one point that he had case law on it, but he never told me what the case was. So I want to.
Didn't they have case law on Dominion?
Yeah,
Didn't they say
kind of like Dominion.
and they they took it in the face on that one too, right? Well, we had case law, and as you said, but we don't know. See, this is the thing. And number one, as you said, you have to look at the case. And if it was a Massachusetts case, if it was a pot board, you have to look at the circumstances. There may have been very unique circumstances. There may have been something in their city charter. They may, who knows? But the fact is, and this is what disturbs me, and how many times have we told the city council, and how many times on this show have we told them that the corporation counsel is giving you his opinion? That doesn't mean it's true. And in 98% of the cases, or better than 98% of the cases, corporation counsels are proved wrong, because corporation counsel's job is to justify whatever their boss, the mayor, wants. So that's what they do. They will make stuff up. I mean, how many opinions did Joe Macy render? We saw the charter. He justified the charter, I don't know how many times. But what you're getting is an opinion. And opinions are like anal sphincters. Everybody's got one. But some work better than others. And the reality is, if you go to another lawyer, you might get a different opinion. The only opinion that counts is a judge. If it goes to court and they adjudicate it, and then the judge will do exactly what you're going to do. What I'll do when I get the case, look at the case, look at its applicability. But what we think about it is irrelevant because it's the judge. And the thing is, isn't it ironic how the city council always manages to accept as absolute fact and basically law the corporation council's opinion when it suits their agenda? If it doesn't suit their agenda, they begin to complain about, oh, well, that's why we need our own lawyer. And I think a few of the new councils, I know I did have a conversation with Michelle Dion at one time, and I told her what I told them all, in my opinion, and it's my opinion. The city council should have its own lawyer, not saying, well, the corporation council works for the city council and for the mayor. No, he works for the mayor. And if it's going to become an opinion that's going to go against the mayor, he's going to side with the mayor in 99.9% of the cases, unless it's ridiculous. So I don't know. I'd like to see that case too, because it doesn't, the statute is kind of clear. And to eliminate an entire arm of government, i.e. the city council, the legislative branch of the government, that's statutorily involved in the process, I don't know. I'm going to have to see that one.
Well, they talked about getting their own lawyer at this last city council meeting. And they actually were talking about getting KP Law, who represented them during the lawsuit against Jasiel Correia. So it should be interesting to see. I think personally that they should do it as well. I've been saying this for a while, because the corporate counsel always works for the mayor. They forget the Bar Association's ruling when the city council filed a complaint against the corporate counsel under Will Flanagan, and they said that the corporation counsel does not work for the city council. The corporation counsel works for the mayor. And they said clearly that they work for the mayor. So they need their own, their own counsel that represents them and works for them, not for the city. The problem was that our previous mayor and previous corporate counsel turned around and said, look, somebody's got to pay for it. So it's going to have to come out of someone's budget. And it's going to have to come out of my budget. And I don't have the money in my budget to pay for another attorney. And that kind of put it on standby for some reason. Now all of a sudden they're picking it back up. I personally think that they should get an attorney, keep them on retainer, and work with them. That is the best way of doing it. It's obvious that Attorney Rumsey has a problem attending meetings. It's obvious that he has a problem providing opinions to the city council. It is obvious that he's, he doesn't seem to be doing his job. So what do? This was a job that the mayor entered into. So is this another mistake that the mayor may have made by hiring this attorney? I don't know. Is the mayor rethinking the fact that he hired this attorney that's not really doing anything? But already I'm seeing that this attorney is doing what other attorneys have done, and they start fashioning opinions or statements that benefit the mayor. So I don't know how good of a corporate counsel that is.
Well, I've never been in favor of this whole deal with our corporation counsels, because our corporation counsels don't really do any legal work. They normally farm out anything that's complex to another firm, and we get the double. We have to pay their salary, run their office, and all with all their assistant corporation counsels. Yet anything that's a difficult case, we end up paying big time money to big time firms to handle it for the city, as you said. And the thing that disturbs me is years and years and years we've been talking about this, and nobody ever seems to remember that it's an opinion. You just said it. He fashions opinions. Opinions. He does not tell you what the law is. He'll tell you what his interpretation is. He will give you his opinion. But no corporation counsel, including Joe Mason, who was a former judge, can give you a definitive answer, because that will be determined by a court, obviously, and a judge. So they conveniently forget that when it suits them and say, well, the corporation counsel says. No, the corporation counsel created an opinion. He opined, to use their phrase. He opined. And that's not binding. It's just an opinion. And that's the way it is. And it's tragic to see the way they manipulate stuff. But you mentioned something I guess we have to, in case anybody doesn't know, which they should, the former mayor, previously known as Jasiel, but now known as
his hearing yesterday. I attended his hearing yesterday via Zoom. This was very interesting. According to Joe Good in the Herald, she said that Jasiel Correia wasn't there. I believe Jasiel Correia was there, because when I was looking at the screen, I saw Jen Andrade up in the upper left-hand corner, and I saw Jasiel Correia down at the bottom of the screen, but you couldn't see his face. It was just the letters JFC. So I'm assuming that stood for Jasiel F. Correia, but I hate to assume. But I think he was there. But the interesting thing was, it took a long time for us to be allowed into the hearing session. And we were told that there was some health issues that needed to be discussed, and they couldn't be discussed in open court. Therefore, it was done, in private and quietly. But the judge did say that because of the pandemic and the situation that they're in, while it is possible the case could go forward in September, it is not going to. It is going to go forward in January of 2021. We hope, providing there are no other changes. Now, the issue that they have is cases in the federal court now are prioritized by what they are. So right now, what gets priority are people who are incarcerated or are being detained and are awaiting bail. So those get priority hearings. Then criminal matters get priority over civil matters. So again, those cases are prioritized, and then civil matters come up. So Jasiel's in that second tier of priority cases because it's a criminal matter. So does Jen Andrade. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in January. So I look forward to January coming. I'm just glad that I didn't have to drive to Boston to see this because it would have been a waste of time. The whole hearing took grand total of maybe 20 minutes, and I was on the screen for maybe 30. So, but it was nice because the background you see here is the same background I had going into the meeting. So it was kind of nice.
Nice. Well, I'll tell you what. The mayor formerly known as Jasiel is doing pretty well. He's been out. He's been out. He made bail. He's been out. He's living his life, and we'll see what happens. I guess if he has to trial during our lifetime. So, but
and now his girlfriend, family, or ex-girlfriend's family, I don't know if they're still together or not, is opening a restaurant on Purchase Street. So it's actually 3 restaurants in one. Wrong time to open it, I think, in the middle of a pandemic, but they have bills they have to pay now too. And it's going to be interesting to see because somebody has made a joking, and please people, this is a joking comment that once they open it, Jasiel will become the general manager. Stranger things have happened.
Exactly. Stranger things have happened. But let's shift gears quickly because I can see we got less than 3 minutes here up on my little counter. We have to mention. We did mention the reprehensible act that our state delegation. We have to look what the House does on it, but we know the Senate voted to minimize police rights and take away qualified immunity. So we comment a little bit, but then we have some of our sources have revealed that there may be some clandestine meetings going on to raise our taxes again. I believe you heard that rumor too.
I heard that rumor, and Mike Rogers,
but it's a class B+ rumor.
Right. And, I posted on one of Mike Roderick's postings in regards to him funding the deconstruction of the Brightman Street Bridge. I said, what is the rumor true that you're looking at giving locales the right to raise more taxes? He never responded, which I really wasn't expecting a response. But I know they're supposed to be also discussing creating a higher gas tax again. So it's going to be interesting what's happening. So I'm not even sure what to even think about it. But I'll tell you right now, if you want a $23 hamburger, you can run over to Pier 52. That's just popped on my screen.
They'll use the pandemic and shortages, even though they had 1.1 billion in surplus last year, to raise taxes, gas taxes, property taxes. Remember, once they implement that gas tax, it'll never go away, ever.
That's
they
true.
They never eliminate taxes.
Okay, Chip, I gotta cut you off, Chip. We're done. We're out of time. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please stay safe this weekend. Wear your masks and stay angry. We love you.